So welcome everybody to the second hour of Mind Shifters Radio. Today is Monday. It's August the 23rd, 2021. And our call-in number is 563-999-3581. And press 1, and that puts you into queue to talk to us. We'd love to hear your comments and questions because that makes this your show. While we're giving Michael a moment to get dialed in, doesn't appear Dr. Tim's hung up yet, so I'm not sure if he'll call in immediately. We'll see if that goes through. Invite you to go to our website, whyagain.org, and press on either the start here in the upper left corner or scroll down and click the bullseye. They both take you to the same place. And we did have a Mind Shifters and Still Point Breathing this weekend, and I felt like it went awesome. I'll let Michael talk more about it when he gets on. But we had quite a few people, and it was a really good experience, and everybody went into Still Point at the same time, it seemed like. And so it was just a phenomenal weekend, phenomenal experience. So hopefully some will call in that participated in that and let us know what their experience was. We had a total of 13 people, counting Michael and I, in the Still Point. This was their first time doing a standalone Mind Shifters and Still Point workshop online outside of an intensive. And so it was really a good experience. And we're talking about potentially doing it once a month. We haven't decided yet, whether it'll be like the first Saturday or the last Saturday or, whatever. But we will decide that, and we'll make the announcement on it. And I'm going to check and see if Michael's having an issue getting dialed in. You coming in? Oh, okay. So he's looking for his headset, and then you will dial in. So I told him I was going to wait and let you talk about the Mind Shifters and Still Point Breathing when you got on. So if anybody out there that participated in it and you'd like to share, Michael's having a little challenge here. He'll be getting in here in just a minute. But go ahead and press 1 and let us know what you thought. Come on, press 1. You can do it. Okay, is this going to be a monologue day? Oh, well, Michael and I did some breathing after the Still Point breathing, and so it was very good for us, too, and went into a deeper level. I personally had dreams for 3 nights that, to me, felt like they were memories that they had really happened to me, and maybe they were just events that I had shut down and didn't want to look at. And so I did a breath session last night just to tap in and see what there was. And it was a really good session. I didn't get any particular messages. And so I'll just wait and see what unfolds in that. We celebrated Aria's 3rd time around the sun yesterday. Her actual birthday was on Saturday, but we had the gathering on Sunday down at there's a park here. So we were outdoors, and it was real nice, a lot of fun. And we have a hand up, area code 541. You are on the air. Is this Julie?
Hi. Yes, can you hear me?
Hey, I can.
Okay.
Loud and clear.
Well, I just feel like I'm still in the Still Point session.
Awesome.
It's Still Point.
Yeah. Sometimes they do that. It seems like it just the energy of it just lingers, and it's awesome.
Yeah, I'm staying open to guidances that I was given during it that seem to be directing me beyond my beliefs. Like how I would fix it or figure it out, and so it was a really valuable session. I wasn't too talkative afterwards, and usually I am, but I did write a lot of things down, and I'm just it's like I'm dressing my skeletal structure with these new clothings and seeing how they feel and what's different, because I really was wanting to change the energy on quite a few issues, and so I just brought them all to the table, and I instead of sinking back into, I still have to deal with all this, I felt like I was really opened, and so there's so much potential and possibility of how I can design differently with the energies that were released.
Well, it's awesome that you used the example. Michael used the exact same example after he came out of his breath session that we were referring to the little skeleton that we bought Aria. She calls it Mr. Skinny. And
wow.
we said it felt like a whole different clothing on our skeletal, that it was like a new spacesuit or something. So it's pretty cool that you used that exact same description.
Wow. Yeah. And I haven't verbalized it or articulated with anyone yet, and so that's what just sort of formulated right now. So that's amazing. That's one slight regret that I have, is that I didn't really prepare the space around the session enough coming into it, just time-wise, allowing myself to settle in early beforehand, say a day or so, and give myself a day or so afterwards. There were just things in my schedule that, somebody's birthday party, for example. So there were things that needed to be tended to and attended, but the whole time I have felt differently. And I did get into a spiritual discussion with someone who's like a psychologist, and I guess I have a quick little question, because he was suggesting the use of ecstasy, and I said, well, I already feel pretty deep and in truth and in love, and I just kind of wonder about those pathways. I've heard that some therapists use drugs to help open people up and empty, truthful things that have been held for a long time. And I just like this way so much. I feel so integrated every step of the way with this work with Michael, Ryce, and Yeshua. And you, Jeannie, I just have to say one more quick thing. You look so fabulous lately, just so glowing. Your skin looks younger. And I noticed you stopped coloring your hair, but, you're just thoroughly inside and out, refreshed and restored. That's my experience of you energetically and perceptually.
Well, thank you. Actually, Michael mentioned that yesterday as well when I was getting ready to go into the breath work. And he said, have you noticed in the mirror that you're looking younger?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's awesome to see, Jeannie. You've been so dedicated to this work and approached it with great self-honesty. It's always been beautiful to see you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Will that get things primed a little for Michael? Is he ready now?
Yeah, he is back. He's with us.
I'm good, Dan. Thank you.
And thank you for sharing. And
You're welcome. Mm-hmm.
And I had suggested to Jeannie that she go back and look at the video from Saturday, because her face was so glowing, and I made exactly the same comment to her. And, if you recall, I left the breath session for a little while, and Jeannie took over, because there was just so much moving for me that I needed to breathe. So I went and did that. And then last night we breathed together and did some really deep work. And what I got in that work is that scriptural passage where they talk about, at the last trump, raised from the grave, and new flesh put on bones. Well, if you go back and you listen to Yeshua, he talks about, let the dead bury the dead. Those people who appear to be living in a so-called body are dead as dead can be. And that story about, new flesh is not about after one's lain and the flesh is rotted and it's going to be raised up with new flesh, but rather one's going to arise from the spiritual death, and literally the active presence of love is going to restructure tissue based in that creative energetic flow of active present love, rather than being fleshed out from the hostilities and fears of the generations. When we're really willing to look at, to deal with, to move through those energetic dynamics of hostility or fear, that's where literally the presence of being flows through and restructures, quite literally, the flesh on our bones.
That's amazing.
It's time.
It is. It's possible.
And one of the things that happens is...
You're cutting out.
Go ahead.
You're cutting
You're cutting out, Michael.
Is that better now?
If you're talking, Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Much.
Okay, good. So one of the things that happens in the still point process, perception, that product of what's firing in carbon-based memory, collapses. So when you're in the still point, you don't have to process all of the generational perceptual patterns of hostility or fear. When you collapse that, when the breath collapses that, and the still point opens, that's when you can process through the energy directly, where there's the direct exposure, instead of, the issues that need to be dealt with generationally and in our own lives. Instead of those energetic patterns being projected into our brain's image of, Bill did this terrible thing, my mother did that, my father did that, my mom, on and on, all the good stories, that when you reach that still point, that's when all the stories and perception collapses. And now you get to directly expose that underlying trauma energy to active present love, and that's when the dissolution occurs. Does that make sense?
Am I still on? Yeah. It's so peaceful too. It's like it's like letting go of all responsibility, but perceived responsibility. And because I'm taking the full responsibility, I'm willing to, even if I can't see it, the full responsibility that is mine. And so the relief, relaxation, and peace is in the letting go for it to be done or undone for us, and for love to just be present and sustain us, and what is the word I'm thinking, like immersed into us is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, that's it. That's where we're heading. And so out of the, this is the first time we've done a mind shifters and still point breathing workshop, standalone workshop. We've done it in the context of our Zoom intensive, but it's the first time we've done a workshop like this. You're
kind of garbled.
Okay.
It could be.
Any better?
I just changed. It's better.
Okay.
Thank you.
So decided out of Saturday's workshop that we're going to do this once a month, and I'm not sure yet whether it'll be either the first, second, third, or fourth Saturday. We'll do it starting earlier on Saturday morning and do a full day Saturday, not including Friday night. So that's something we'll be making an announcement about as soon as we determine what's going to be for our next one.
That sounds really good. Will it be open to new people also?
Oh yeah, of course. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Good.
Always.
That's awesome.
Cool.
Awesome.
Anything else on your mind, young lady?
I'm so glad you and Jeannie are just you keep evolving with this work. You're great examples of really full utilization of this work. I'm so glad you're so dedicated. But just side of that is like anybody who does this work, the work compels us, invites us, opens us to more because it just works.
Maybe that's why they call it the work.
Yeah. It's the labor of love.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, I'm complete. Thank you, Michael. I hope others
All
call
right,
in.
baby.
And,
all right.
All right. Go on, Liz.
Well, Miss Jeannie, do we have anything
right.
happening in the phone queue?
Nobody else has a hand up right now, so I'd say let's go to a reading, and then we'll see if they raise their hand afterward.
Cool. Carbon-based memory that we call our bodies, and allowing for the active presence of love, which creates renewal. And so we're talking to Richard about the fact that resonance is the governing law of what we call the human mind, and a reality that one experiences when the mind generates a perceptual construct called reality versus actuality, what actually occurred. And I have to put in a thank you. Probably it was right after a global science conference I keynoted at, probably 36 or 37 years ago. There was a physicist scientist named Bob Beck, did a lot of research in the realm of physics and healing and energy. And Bob was the first one that I heard distinguish and mention reality, actuality. And after his presentation, it was like my work, my mind was ready for that refinement. And I went up and shared it with him. I went up after his presentation and he came down off the stage. And it's like, well, I'm not quite sure what you're talking about, Michael, but thank you. Okay. And we actually ended up in a lot of discussions and became very good friends out of that particular presentation he did. So he's passed on now. Bob, wherever you are, whatever you're up to, we hold a space of love for you and deep, deep, deep caring and appreciation for you. So I offer you can download it free from our website, whyagain.org. It's out of print, so we can't sell you a new copy. Wish we could. However, you can go to Amazon or eBay, and you'll find dozens of copies. They're always there and available. So the law of resonance says that some of the energy of my voice transfers to the listener's brain cells containing realities about silver. So I'd used an example with him of what I call the file folder effect, where when you fire one set of brain cells, everything that has become linked through what we call the file folder effect fires at the same time. So I asked him the question, what's the Lone Ranger's horse's name? The question that I've developed and used for years. And I probably need to be developing a new question because that era is kind of pretty much past for these young people. But usually when I ask that question, what's the Lone Ranger's horse's name, I get three answers. I get Tonto, I get Trigger, and I get Silver. Now, for me, what that demonstrates is that the question resonated the file on Old Westerns. And the way most answer life is according to the law of resonance. So if silver, the brain cells representing silver, happen to be vibrating at a higher amplitude than Trigger or Tonto, then that became the person's answer. But the same question, as I say, elicits Tonto and Trigger. If those brain cells were closer to the surface, so to speak, energetically, and I asked that question through the law of resonance, Tonto might be the first thing that flies up, resonates, comes up out of that resonating content or to the surface. Just recognize this file folder effect, and it's really important to begin to remove hostility and fear-based associations through this file folder effect around ourselves and the people we care about. Because if I happen to resonate a set of brain cells in a person that relates to, something that happened with their great-great-grandfather 50 years ago, that information about great-great-grandfather 50 years ago is so far buried and so dissociated from that it's going to take some significant work to get that to come to conscious awareness. But if I resonate those brain cells and the file folder effect takes over, then the emotion related to great-great-grandfather, whether it's a wonderful emotion or a terrible emotion, quote unquote, will tend to become linked to that person's brain's image of me. And this is the stage in relationships. If you listen to our Healing Through Relationships workshop, this is the stage where they say the honeymoon is over. When we meet someone and we're ready for a relationship, we open this clean, clear, new file in our minds, and everything is sweet and light and wonderful until the day they give us the look. And then if fear comes up, one of two things is going to happen. If that look that you give me brings up my fear, either the file folder effect is going to take over, and I'm going to associate you with my fear, and I'm going to tell you about how you made me afraid. Or, if I'm conscious enough, then I'm going to be able to breathe, and I'm going to recognize, wow, what you just said brought up some fear in me. And instead of associating that fear with my brain's image of you and forevermore around you having some level of fear moving, I can move into the space of responsibility. Well, here's my fear. I think I'll apply forgiveness not to you, but to my fear to remove my fear. And now, because I've chosen to be responsible and you did me the blessing of resonating my fear, to heal that part of my mind. Most people just live in the file folder effect, in relationship, clean, clear file, everything's wonderful, fun, exciting, grand. And then the sadness gets linked, and the fear and the hatred and the vengeance and the rage and the guilt and the grief. One morning this person wakes up and looks at this person that they're with and says, what the hell am I doing here with you? I don't even like how I feel when I'm with you. Is there somebody in your world you don't like how you feel when you're with them? Then wake up from the death of sleep and recognize that your feelings come from the energetic patterns that are moving in you, not from what other people do. And when you take responsibility, each time someone resonates something like that in you, it's another piece of work you can do to remove that hostility and fear from your structure rather than locking it into your brain's image of them. And that, I'd offer, is the ultimate cause of divorce and the destruction of relationships. It's that file folder effect. And the unwillingness or just the ignorance, the lack of knowledge of, could have done some forgiveness work here instead. So we're working with Richard to build those brain cells. So when the brain cells receive this energy, they fire and set up an internal vibration in that file in the mind. Every other brain cell in that file is then energized and tends to fire. Hence, as I said earlier, Tonto and trigger become possible answers as an expression of the file folder effect. In our file on Old Westerns, Tonto, trigger, If it's close to the surface and silver, that becomes our answer, even though it is not directly related to the question. Some people actually call this automatic response mechanism thinking. I suspect we would be amazed if we knew how many people's entire lives are governed by this process, governed and limited by the body's mind. The file folder effect is not thinking. It is only information firing in brain cells. And the truth is, if most people said what they thought, they'd be speechless. Because resonating information in a mind is not thinking. Thinking happens when we wake up to who we are, we realize that we have the ability to initiate a new energy within our own mind, and we introduce that new energy into our own minds, and it changes absolutely everything. And the reason for us being here to do this show is to support people in building the brain cells, to recognize how that is done, and then hopefully inspire you to do the work. So we're honored and delighted that you're here to be part of the conversation. And hopefully we've been able to resonate a few things for you. And you have a question for us, or a comment, or something to process, something you need support with, or, help with some of the tools. So if you're out there in this land, oh, great. Let's say hello.
And I believe it's Magda, 828. You're on the air.
Hello. Yes, it is Magda. And,
welcome, young lady.
Oh, thank you. I'm calling for two reasons. I want to give a little bit of feedback on the still point breathing session. It was really, really wonderful, and I'm glad to hear that you are thinking of doing it once a month, perhaps even once every 6 weeks would be quite wonderful. And I also like the idea that someone, maybe one of you, posed about sending the recording from Friday nights so that people could do that, get that information on their own. And I'm not sure how you would work it with the numbers, with the mind shifter. Maybe they could pick their own with the sheet or something. But I think that would be really, it would make it much more efficient for just starting on Saturday altogether.
Right.
I'm glad you're thinking about it.
We'll probably send out the mind shifter sheet with the instructions and the video from Friday night so people can get started.
Right. So when you get to that part of the 2-hour session, I don't know how you would let people know because you're not going to re-record it, but they could then stop listening, stop watching, and get the numbers written down, and then go look. I think it might be very tempting for people to look at the numbers and decide that way. I don't know if that's good or not. Not sure if that would be, if we come out with the same results, seeing them visually. But anyway, I know you'll work it out beautifully.
Yeah, we'll give the instruction, trust people to follow them.
Yeah. So the other reason I'm calling is because of what you're just saying about the sentence I'm remembering is what you just did brought up some, what was it, anger in me or sadness in me. And I realized that for myself at least, it is so very important for me to own that feeling instead of saying brought up some anger, to say brought up my anger, because for me, if I say some anger, then it's kind of like, well, it was outside of me, and you kind of injected it in me or something when you did what you did or said what you said. So, and the reason it's important for me to do that is because it's so very, very hard, even now, after all these years of reorienting my mind around it. It's so hard to really own it and to use language that helps remind me it's mine. So I just wanted to interject that.
It's odd, and when you realize how many generations of denial have gone before us to form these habits of blame and, it's all outside of me. It's quite a process to move to that actual responsibility, for sure.
It is indeed. Yeah, especially when the emotion we are experiencing is very strong. That's probably when it's hardest. So anyway, that's helpful for me, and I just wanted to give you a little heads up on that. So that's it. I don't have anything else except to enjoy listening to the rest of your program.
Sweet. Thank you, Magda.
Indeed. Thank you.
Only you and a blessing.
And you and yours. Okay, I will go silent and listen now. Okay. Blessings.
All right.
And we have another hand up.
Great. Let's say hello.
And this one is Miss Roma, 808. You're on the air.
Hello. Hello there.
Again, lady.
Wow. Yeah, I feel like Julie. I feel like I'm still in the energy, in that my ordinary mental mind process has not kicked in.
You're still out of your mind? How cool.
I'm still out of my mind. And basically what's underneath that mind is just my delight and my joy, just pure existence. And I was really delighted that you decided that you wanted to do this on a regular basis, because I have felt over the course of the years I've been doing this work that my weakest link in the various aspects of the tools that you've offered has been the breathing. So I was really happy, and I had an experience during the breathing session that I think I shared it in the group afterwards, but there may be people listening that didn't hear. During the breathing session, I was aware of thoughts and experiences moving by my consciousness like a water flowing in a river. And, 90% of my identity was witnessing this from a point of absolute stillness, just witnessing as this went by. So I've done still point many times in my life, but I've never had that kind of I've never witnessed that kind of processing before. So that was the first for me, and I feel really excited for that. Also, there was a slight reference to the Avicen, and looking at Jeannie's darker hair growing in is like, wow, because that really got me interested in trying to acquire an Avicen, because years ago, the woman who created the Hippocrates Health Institute which only, you're growing your own sprouts. Yeah, and Wigmore. Because toward the end of her life, that's what happened to her. Her hair returned to its original color when she was young. And so when I realized that you and Jeannie are both experiencing that, and you relate it to the use of the Avicen, I said, okay, that's where I'm going. Because I've known about this as an option and a possibility for human regeneration for many years, and I know that it's real. So that was exciting too for me, and so I'm in the process of researching the Avicen, like on eBay or something, and so that's fun and exciting. And also, for some reason or other, the crystalline aspect of the bones is like, in my mind, I want to hear more about that from you, if you could share about that.
Crystalline aspect of the
bones, the crystalline aspect of the bones in the human body. That's what I thought I heard spoken of.
Bone structure is actually built on a spiral, and that spiral is the energetic pattern that the bones receive, that my take is feeds the tissue, and it either feeds it or supports it being fed with hostility and fear-based content, or with that flow, that open flow of active present love. And the bones are the slowest regenerating part of the structure. Skin cells, every 30 or 60 to 60 days regenerate. And depending whose numbers you take, the bones could be somewhere from 90 days to perhaps 2 years. I don't know what's actually accurate there. But other than that, I don't have many thoughts about crystals regarding the bone structure of the body.
Michael, I was getting ready to say it, but Julie sent me a text. Patrick was actually talking about the crystals in the joints and things like that.
Yeah. Well, that really, it just
deposits.
like, it was like hearing a bell go off inside of me to hear that reference to the crystalline aspect of the bones. Do you remember more of what he was saying, Jeannie, about that?
Well,
I think offering was that.
I think, and this is just my thought on it. Oh, go ahead, Michael. Are you there?
Go for it,
okay. It's like there are crystals within every tissue, not just the bones. Like when you store, trauma or whatever in your body, like Michael was talking earlier, that it's stored in the carbon-based memory. And when you do your healing work and those crystals melt, they yield up all of their contents, the thoughts, the feelings, the emotions, and the drug that was used to stuff it down to start with. But those crystals could actually be anywhere in the tissue, not just in the bones.
Well, I think crystal is a very specific thing that's even more primordial. And what the word rings in me is, well, it's really hard to try to put it into words. I'll have to listen. I'll listen again.
Now and then. Are you there?
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So what Patrick was talking about with the Avicen and crystals is that when there's not proper circulation throughout the structure, there tends to be the byproducts of metabolism in the cell are acidic. And they tend to, if they're not being flushed out properly by proper circulation and elimination, they tend to grow, literally solidify as crystals in the cell. And the cell is designed, the inside of the cell is designed to be alkaline. And when acidic wastes build up due to a lack of proper circulation, then the cell becomes acidic. And that's when those acid crystals form in the cell. And, Patrick, when he first started using the Avicen, he was able to, he has diabetes and neuropathy, or had neuropathy in his feet to the point where he could work for about 2 hours a day. He's in his early 70s. He could work for about 2 hours a day. And this is what got my attention with the Avicen. He's the one who introduced me to it, was that he would have to go and put his feet up for the rest of the day, and he would be in excruciating pain because of the neuropathy. After about 6 or 8 weeks, and this is what got my attention when he shared this with me, he got to the point where he could get up and he could work for 5 hours at a time, and he'd go and rest, but he would not have this excruciating pain in his feet. He would simply have some aching. And I know that you might remember several weeks ago, I made a trip to Florida to work with a doctor there who was bringing the work into his clinic. And I stopped to see Patrick one evening on my way back to Tennessee. And I arrived at Patrick's about 10 o'clock in the evening. And Patrick has a Quonset hut on his property, and he's a massage therapist as well as a naturopath. And he was building a new massage room. And at 10 o'clock at night, Patrick was still in there hammering and fixing and getting his massage room ready. And he informed me he'd started working at about 8 o'clock in the morning. So over the period of a year, he went from such excruciating pain that he could do approximately 2 hours of work a day because of the pain in his feet, to where he could push himself overly hard and do 10 or 12 or 14 hours. So, but that's part of cleaning out, getting the energetic flow to clean out those crystals. So, and if anybody's interested in the Avicen, and Roma, I'll send you an article that I'm working on with it and a video link to an introduction to the machine. We'll tell you more about it. So, and if you're interested, we do distribute the machine, so we can talk about that. And we've got about 15 minutes left. So if you're out there in listener land, our call-in number is 563-999-3581. If you call that number, you'll be listening to the show. And then if you push 1, you'll raise a hand in the control panel, and we'll be having a conversation. How can we support you? What's on your mind?
And several people have just come on in the last couple of minutes and may not have heard us talking about, we did a Mind Shifters and Still Point Breathing via Zoom on Friday and Saturday, and had 13 people, and it was phenomenal. And at the beginning of the show, you can go back and listen at the testimonials of 3 of the ladies who were in it. And we are going to be doing on a regular basis, like once a month or something like that, Mind Shifters and Still Point Breathing. So you can watch our website. We'll also be announcing it here. And we have, counting the outro, we've got 12 minutes. So press 1. Let's have a conversation.
How can we support you? What's on your mind? 563-999-3581 if you're on one of those stations where we can't see you in our control panel. If you're not using the tools, we invite you to go to our website, whyagain.org. And in the upper left-hand corner of the home page, you'll see a link that says Start Here. If you click that link, it will open the whole world of forgiveness to you. And I'm not talking about Greek pardoning, which we've been defrauded into believing is forgiveness. The process we're talking about has nothing to do with letting yourself or somebody else off the hook because there's pain inside of you. The process we're talking about is a specific technology and tool for how to go inside yourself and remove the root of your pain. The still point breathing is an important key. You'll notice that people in pain radically alter their breathing patterns or stop breathing altogether. When that occurs, that's when we lock pain and trauma into tissue. The breath is a big key to allowing that to open again. And forgiveness is the technology for starting to break down what in the ancient teachings was called the veil of the temple. So you can access that on our website. You can actually do the process right there live on our website. You can download the worksheet in many of different versions from our website. You can also go to your app store on your phone and type in the words Heartland, Heartland, Aramaic, Aramaic, forgiveness. You'll be looking at the world's only forgiveness app, created by Miss Jeannie. Awesome piece of work. She recently did an upgrade. If you haven't gotten the latest version of the program from your app store, you can go in and just do an update. Mind can reactivate the intellect and, move it in the way, bring it up and interrupt the energetic process that's moving. The mind, one of the number one pseudo solutions of what we call the non-being mind is if I could just figure this out. And the idea of this work is not to attempt to figure anything out, but rather if there's something untoward moving in you, if you're feeling something based in hostility or fear, the idea of this work is to apply forgiveness to that hostility or fear to remove it from your structure. And that's the real purpose and meaning of forgiveness, is removal. It's not the Greek idea of you did something terrible that caused all this pain inside of me, but it's okay, I'll forgive you. We're not inviting people to do that. If you choose to pardon somebody, okay, what you did was really off the wall, and so I'm going to let you off the hook. And now, realizing that what you did resonated something painful in me, as Magda said, I'm going to choose to own it, and I'm going to choose to work through it. Changes everything. And we're here to change everything. And our calling number, if you're on one of those stations where we can't see you, is 563-999-3581. We've got about 6 minutes left, so let's have a conversation. Push one. Let's say hello. And if all is quiet on the Western Front.
You just had another thought?
Yeah, go for it,
please. At the beginning, you were reading from the book and that the body has a mind of its own. Also, a lot of times during the breath, it might just be that your body memory lets go, and it may not be a physical or a mental thought that goes with it. It's just the body does a release. I know that happened to me several times last night. Was, my leg would jerk or my head would jerk or something like that, and I was aware of it, but there was no thought that went with it.
Yeah, and at other times there were places where you really touched into some thought disorders that you were able to move from being to shift those thought disorders and let loose. And so it's all one continuous connected process.
For sure.
We're blessed.
So we have 4 minutes. Somebody, you want a quick question?
Go for it. Go on, push the button. I know you've got a question. Come on, don't make me guess what the question is. Ask it.
And also, if you're not, let me make that phone quit. If you're not on their mailing list, because we will be sending out another newsletter letting everybody know when we're going to be doing the breath work again. and it'll also be on their website. So you can go to our website, whyagain.org, and down at the bottom there's a join our mailing list, and that adds you to our newsletter. So, and we'll be making some changes along those lines too. Right now we're using Constant Contact, and we're going to attempt to do that a different way. But anyway, get on our mailing list so we can keep you up to date. And we don't overload your email like I have averaged every other month or every 3 months. My plan is to send out an email a newsletter once a month, but that hasn't happened because there's just been other things going on. But it's not like you're going to get something from us every day or every week. So, if you're concerned about an overload of email, just let that one go.
Right. And thinking out loud, perhaps what we'll do is pick a week where we're going to do the still point, that particular week each month, and we'll set up maybe in concert. I'm just thinking out loud here and looking for feedback. And so maybe we'll do the still point that one Saturday per month. And then maybe that the same week that we do that, we'll do an evening support group program one other evening that we create a subscription so you can subscribe to it for a year and just have that 1 year program going on. So we'll think about that. And if you have any feedback, we'll be contemplating on this end. Jean and I will talk about it, and we'll see what unfolds. And we are down to the last minute or so, so I'm just going to say thank you, everyone, for your kind attention and for sharing the tools, pass it along to someone else, and create the best year yet of your eternal life. It's an awesome gift to give the world. Blessings.